All right, welcome to Life Story Issue 2. So this one has to be, it's either my favorite or the second favorite. This one is in the point of view of Sue Storm. As you can see, kind of like, we got Namor. Oh, gosh. Starting off, we got Namor. It's during the 70s. So let's just hop in saying that. I think a near-death experience changes you somehow, makes you more philosophical. You begin to ask yourself, what if that had been the end? Then what did it all mean? And I don't know that we'll ever find the answer to that question. As a species, we don't really seem cut out for happiness. So if I had to guess, I'd say that we were put on Earth to grow, to discover ourselves, to find that lives that fit us. Or, if not, then to at least find some people with whom we can enjoy the lack of answers. We're in the 70s, baby! So here we are with Reed kind of going over a history lesson in front of a board of very smart people. Sue goes on, married with a kid for a while, life continued normally. But then again, when you're the Fantastic Four, how normal can life ever be? Reed goes on, we were talking about the past, but how does this relate to the future? This brings me to Galactus. And then the whole board is like, oh my goodness. It's always Galactus with this guy. But Reed goes on, make no mistake, Galactus is coming, and when he arrives, we better be ready. So this is going into what I talked about last video. Reed has this kind of guilt to him because it's his fault that Galactus is coming to Earth and will destroy everything. So he feels the need to warn everybody and to make parameters to stop Galactus. And Sue goes on, what made rejection so hard for him was that Reed was a man of science, a man who demanded proof, and yet he himself had no evidence that Galactus even existed. He needed someone to believe as much as he did. People had a hard time believing the Galactus stuff, and yet they all respected him as the great Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, which in a way made it worse, because he was the center of attention, regardless of whether he was being applauded or laughed at, which introduced us into Mr. Stark. Oh, I'm a certified Iron Man hater. But Tony is like, hey, Reed, I liked your panel up there. I agree with what you said. You said some interesting things. They were crazy, but I think you're right about off-world threats coming, and we need to start preparing. And then some people come and like, hey, oh my gosh, Reed, can I take a picture with you? Which goes into the whole kind of theme about this issue. Invisible Woman, what's her power? Invisibility. Why is it overrated, as she says? Because she's the wife of Reed Richards. It's usually redundant. She doesn't like being invisible. She wants to be seen. She wants to be heard. She is usually in the background because everybody likes Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic. So continuing on with all the people meeting Reed, we have another gentleman that's like, hey, that stuff about Galactus is nuts, but whatever. It's an honor meeting you anyways. You want to talk about these radioactive ants? There's radioactive ants. And this is Hank Pym. I love that he's just a weirdo talking about radioactive ants, and Reed's like, not this guy. But that leads it to another fascinating man come up. He says, I'm sorry that you have any doubters. Nobody despises a prophet more than other prophets. I believe you. Does faith need rewards? It's a game show. I am Victor Von Doom. And then we see his little Dr. Doom costume behind him, foreshadowing what he will become. And you might be asking yourself, this is the first time they're meeting? That doesn't make sense. I thought Dr. Doom was Reed Richards' roommate. Or not roommate, I mean his colleague at university and college. You would be right. He was. This is, like I said, it's kind of like an Elseworlds. I would just say this as like a different universe. Different, kind of the same events, but in a different way. I don't necessarily like this. I like Victor Von Doom being a competitive rival, messing up his face, etc. But we'll see more of Dr. Doom later. We'll talk about him later. Yeah. Continuing on, the Fantastic Four still go on adventures. I mean, they are the Fantastic Four. Whenever is needed, they're needed. But Sue goes on, whenever I brought up how ignored I felt, Reed would remind me that I was one of the most famous heroes on the planet. I was part of the Fantastic Four. And as Reed would argue, sometimes being invisible comes in handy. And then we see one of these where they are fighting the Mad Thinker. Mad Thinker's like, you can't break out of your cell, Johnny. And Johnny's like, what does inflammable mean? I don't know what that means. But Reed talks to the Mad Thinker. Hey, aren't you forgetting something? You filled Sue's trap with steam so you could see her. She's not there. Where is she at? And we see where she's at. She's at home with Franklin. It's handy for him. Somebody has to stay home and watch Franklin. We don't know if he has powers at this point. They haven't really talked about it. He's more of like a child. I don't know how old he is. Maybe like 5, 6. But they haven't really talked about his powers at all. So that's for another time. But the Mad Thinker gets fooled by this with the invisible woman not showing up. He's like, I gotta shut down the exits. Johnny explodes out of the cage. And then they stop the Mad Thinker. Turns out the Mad Thinker is actually an android. Then the Fantastic Four head home. Sue's like, hey, how was your adventure, honey? And Reed's like, well, the Mad Thinker is dead. At least dismantled. It was an android of him. That's one less distraction from working on the real stuff. Galactus. And then we see another big thing. This is a very common thing with Reed, actually. He's focusing on science and bigger problems and then forgets about the family. And I want to say real quick, this is a common trait that he has. It's in Hickman's run. It's in a bunch of runs of like him neglecting the family for a little bit of a period of time. They get upset and then he comes to grips with it and he's like, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I'll come back. It's nothing like crazy where like they get a divorce or like everything's ruined. He just like separates and never talks to them again. It's a common trait that he has that he just gets lost in doing science stuff. They even make points of it in like Earth's Mightiest Avengers, I believe, that animated show. But anybody that's like a big hater of Reed Richards because you're like, he's not a family man. He only thinks about science and hates his family, doesn't, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's not like that. He cares about his family a lot. He would actually probably stop science if his family was in the way or injured. So don't think that about Reed. A good example is Hickman, I believe it's Hickman's run, where he finds the answer to everything, and then in the middle of it, Sue's like, you've been taking too much time off. Like, you're not taking care of me. We're not talking. And then he's like, you're right. I'll stop science. And then he goes and meets with her. So going into that, everything I just said for this run, throw that out the window. He absolutely cares way too much about science and Galactus in this series. But then again, it's not a main continuity. Don't think about it as the main universe. It's not the actual Fantastic Four we know and love. It's kind of like an alternate one. That's how they act. So then we cut to Ghana. Shout out to my boy Joseph. In Ghana, we meet Mr. Claw and the leader of Ghana. They're talking about how Ghana owes the World Bank a bunch of money, more interest than they can possibly pay off. That the only way that they can get rid of that is if they lease the diamond mines to Ulysses Claw. If you don't know who Ulysses Claw is, he stole a bunch of vibranium from Wakanda. He's a Black Panther villain. But basically, the leader of Ghana is like, sorry, Mr. Claw, but I'm going to ask my friend for their opinions. And then the Wakandans show up. So we see somebody step out of the car. It's T'Challa. He asks how much that Ghana owes. And Ulysses is like, T'Challa's like, cool, you were going to have this guy under your thumb basically for the rest of the world or rest of his life. So I'm going to give you this brick of vibranium. Will that be good? And this settles the debt for Ghana and all of Africa's. And you are starting to make me mad. So please leave my continent. So Ulysses just dips, takes it, goes, doesn't say anything. He's like, this will do nicely. And then the Ghanan leader is like, that was a ton of vibranium you just gave him. T'Challa replies, it don't matter. They'll probably just make another shield. Which goes into Sue talking about the world. The world was a mess. So heroes started acting on their own, doing whatever seemed right to them. Because when you can't trust who's in charge to do the right thing, who else is there to do the right thing besides you? And with this, we see Captain America in Vietnam. We see Namor in Flo Rida. Captain America stopping soldiers from killing kids. Namor's kicking people out of the ocean. One of them is, define what you think is right. And Sue goes on, perhaps Reed is right. Maybe it would be smarter to just focus all our efforts on Galactus. Forget the world outside our window. But if we're expected to save the world, shouldn't we at least try to make it a place worth saving? As she joins a women's protest. The world was changing, but it all might as well have been happening on a different planet as far as Reed was concerned. And then she gives Reed a call and she's like, hey, just checking in. How's our son doing? Reed's like, I can't do anything with this kid. I don't know what he's doing. He's like blowing some stuff up. But again, I'm not seeing no powers. But Reed's like, you got to come back and grab him so I can continue working. And she is like, I don't want to come home. I'm doing something important. And Reed's like, how can anything be more important than stopping Galactus? That's the most important thing we've ever been working for. Come home, please. I can't do this without you. So she gives in, says, I'll be home soon, turns invisible, and walks back home. Meanwhile, we meet at Stark Industries. Is this going to do the trick? Is it enough to defeat that Galactus of yours? And what do they say? No, don't think so. But it's a good start. Space exploration, asteroid repellent, it's a tax write-off, but it'll come in handy somehow. So we see these three men meeting are Victor Von Doom, Reed Richards, and Tony Stark. Reed thanks Tony and is like, good, I can use all the help I can get. Would you like to meet Victor Von Doom? He's been helping out my lab. Victor's like, I'm proud to work with such men of vision. This guy's a psychopath. So Reed and Victor go back to their lab, back to the lab again. And we see that Sue says a pretty interesting point. The more time Reed spent with Dr. Von Doom, the more Reed started to change. No obsession is stronger than one shared. And Reed was going somewhere I could not follow. And this is going into what I was talking about before with Reed becoming like super obsessed with Galactus. He's like, we established a connection. I can feel him, his malevolence, his spirit, his needs. And I wonder if he can feel mine also. And then Sue continues on, it is said that a leopard never changes its spots. But in my experience, the opposite is true. People are always changing because for better or for worse, life is the act of discovering who you are. And then we see Dr. Doom working on a power gauntlet. And he's like, Stark's spacecraft is not going to be enough. It's all for nothing so long as the Earth is divided. We have to unite our planet, a single fist, to strike a single blow at Galactus. We must turn the Earth into a monster equal to the one it faces. And you understand that, Reed. Sue keeps going. Reed was having visions of Galactus. He was always having visions of Galactus. Terrifying visions of other worlds recently destroyed, worlds consumed, as Reed himself was being consumed. The closer Galactus got to Earth, the stronger the visions became. And here he is, I guess he's just destroying a Kroll civilization. Those guys are cooked. Galactus is such a terrifying concept, because Galactus isn't evil. He's just more of like, he is a force of nature. I can't remember where they say that all the time, but I don't remember specifically which one I'm thinking of. But yeah, he's just a force of nature. This guy's just a menace. At this point, Sue is starting to feel like Reed is just slipping away. He doesn't care about her at all. He's just completely obsessed with Galactus at this point. Just doesn't even bother thinking about Valeria or Franklin. And so we see 3/4 of the Fantastic Four go to Puerto Rico. And Ben's like, where is the invisible woman? Why is she still invisible? Johnny's like, she's not, dude. She's at home with Franklin still. They meet this doctor. He's like, I got a plaque. We're going to send this into space to welcome the aliens to our solar system. And Reed's like, what the fuck? Are you crazy? Galactus is out there and God knows what else. We should be finding alien civilizations so we can steer clear of them, not inviting them over. And then the doctor responds, you could be right. Maybe this Galactus of yours is out there. Maybe we could run into the wrong aliens, but we don't know what's going to happen. It's certainly possible, but here's what I know for sure, that all the conflicts in the world, this endless war in Vietnam, this Cold War that threatens our very existence as a species, they're all built from the same bricks. Our fear of outsiders. The fact that we fundamentally view others as threats. And outsiders might kill us. But if we don't evolve, if we don't let go of our terror of each other, then that terror certainly will. Your fear won't save you, Reed. It never could. So we cut to a week later, and Franklin is like, is Dr. Richards going to join us for dinner? That's what I mean by Reed is not very present in Franklin's life. He doesn't even call him Dad. He just calls him Dr. Richards. Sue even has to correct him. It's like, it's Daddy. He's Daddy. He is Daddy. But Johnny stops on by and it's like, where's Mr. Fantastic at? Sue is like, what do you think? Saving the world, yada yada, in the shed with Dr. Doom. And then Sue uses this time to apologize to Johnny. In all these years, I never apologized for getting you into this mess. I knew you admired Reed, but you were just a boy. I should have protected you. Kept you away from coming with us that day. Even knowing how much you looked up to him, I should have said no. Johnny's like, Sue, I didn't force my way into that mission because I idolized Reed. I idolized you. You're my big sister. You're both brilliant, but I'm the person I am because of you, Sue. I love you. Anyways, are you coming to the thing tomorrow? And then Sue says, what thing? I wasn't invited to anything. And cutting to the shed with Victor Von Doom and Reed Richards, Reed's explaining how he beat the Mad Thinker, got this android thing. He says, the Mad Thinker completely freaked out. Sue wasn't even there when I said, we're the Fantastic Four. Ha, 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 ha. They laugh. Dr. Doom observes this. If we could replicate this technology, create an army of androids, it would increase our workload exponentially. Remember that, because what does Dr. Doom love? Doombots. Yeah. He gonna make some Doombots out of this later on. Just a little foreshadowing. Then Sue busts in. Were you gonna tell me about the meeting of heroes? Like, I was invited. And Reed says, I declined. We were both busy. I didn't think you'd want to go. And Sue gets pissed. Next time you know what I'm thinking, let me in. So she leaves. Victor Von Doom says, let her go. I made this mask. It's my Dr. Doom evil mask. Look at this. It's a mask. It harnesses your power, allows you to focus. I made one for each of us. So his Dr. Doom mask doesn't get burned onto his skin. Yeah, he doesn't put that on there to hide his face. He just wants the mask for power. That's also what I have a problem with. But I didn't write comic books. I don't write comic books. I just read them. So cutting into the little bit of the future, we see that Sue is going to the meeting of the superheroes. She meets with Captain America, Namor, T'Challa, and her brother Johnny. It's possible for your life to slip away without even realizing it. Maybe it already had. They greet her when she walks in. T'Challa goes on, people have to know how we feel, that the world is more than just a parking lot brawl between heroes and villains. That is why both heroes and villains must speak. And then he's like, I would like you to introduce Namor. What a crazy transition is like, we need villains to speak. Here's one of these terrible people. But T'Challa continues on. I've arranged for us to speak on the floor of the UN tomorrow to express our vision. And Namor's like, you should speak, Susan. And she says, I don't know. It's been a long time. I'm really just a mom. I'm not really the invisible woman of the Fantastic Four. I'm not that person anymore. And then a little bit more into the future. While I was in the city, there was a book signing I wanted to go to. But I kept thinking about Namor's offer. If I could fight on behalf of the human race, why was I afraid to speak for it? And she shows this book and is like, hey, can you sign this? Can you make it out to Sue Storm? And the writer's like, you're Sue Storm of the Fantastic Four? Like, I haven't heard about you in the past couple of years. What have you been doing? I've been busy, you know. And then we see that this author wrote in there, don't stay invisible forever. Love, Betty. And this is kind of what Invisible Woman's like, oh, you're right. I can't stay invisible forever. I should probably speak on the stage of UN also. So going to the UN, T'Challa speaks first. You might think I'm the one on stage because I'm a king, born to lead, but that would be a lie. No one is born to lead. I'm up here for one reason only. This was my idea, which brings me to my point. Leadership is just another word for vision. The vision to come up with new ideas and the courage to act on them. Simply protecting what you have, gratefully accepting the world as you find it, and expecting nothing more isn't leadership, it's servitude. And as I would not accept that for myself, I would not accept it for you either. So with that speech concluding, we see Dr. Doom suit up in his cool little outfit. We're getting so much work done with your family out of the way. The suit fits wonderfully. It will help us get ready for the world in time. They will understand the necessity of our actions, of our sacrifice. Most of the heroes would stand in our way, are at the United Nations as we speak. If we attack them, the world will have no choice but to rally behind us to take the threat of Galactus seriously. And Reed's like, wait, what? Where did this come from? We're not doing this. And Dr. Doom is like, yeah, I was afraid you might say that. It just beats him up. What a complete complete 180 of Dr. Doom goes, which is why I waited till the suit was operational to ask. Excellent work, by the way. I'm sorry, my friend. You had everything you needed to see your vision through except, well, the vision. What a crazy, imagine you're coworker, best friend is like, all right, if you're in the construction, all right, we built the house. Now, the only way to get higher pay is to just destroy the house. No, what? You're going to lose your jobs. What are you doing? So we go back to the UN and we have Sue Storm actually take the stand like she wanted to. You'll have to forgive me. It's been a while since I've been on the stage. This organization was created 30 years ago for a single purpose, to save the world from itself. But the world has changed a lot in the last 30 years. So it's probably about time we changed with it. My father, and many like him, fought in the Second World War. They fought to save the world from monsters. And if they hadn't won, we wouldn't be here today. I'm grateful that they were there to defend us. We all are. But I think what we're trying to say is, it's not enough to play defense, to sit back in fear and wait for the monsters to come out of the shadows. If we're ever really going to change the world, we must go on the offensive. The world will never truly change until it is the monsters who live in fear, and it is we who come out of the shadows. Going back to Reed and Dr. Doom's lab, Reed gets up. Oh, I gotta warn them. I didn't know. I was so wrong about Victor Von Doom. His last name is Doom. He's evil. That's a villain last name. Doom rips the top of the UN off, and we see everybody stare at him, and they're like, who is this guy? Doom, with the power of this suit, I can disintegrate you with a glance, or turn you into living stone. When I rule the earth, you'll make excellent decor for my palace. A reminder, perhaps, of the fatality of weakness, of hesitation. Picks up all the Avengers, basically just destroys them, takes them away. He didn't kill him, but he just throws them out like nothing. But Reed shows up. What are you doing? Like, it's not too late to turn back, Doom. This is not what we were planning on doing. And Doom poses the question, is Galactus turning back? If not, then I'll stick to my plan. I'm going to save the world. Not we. I am. So Reed poses another question. I think that there's an error in your calculations. I don't see Sue Storm around here. Do you? And he says, you told me about this trick. Like, you use this on the Mad Thinker. That's not going to work on me. And then Sue appears out of nowhere, blasts him down with Falcon's bird. Oh, I can't remember Falcon's bird. So, what a terrible name. I don't care about the Falcon. I like him as Captain America, though. But she smashes him down with Captain America's shield. Reed, I think we need to talk. And what do we see? A bar. Who's at the bar? Ben and Reed. Ben just straight up says it. His wife left him. So finally, Sue got fed up with Reed spending all this time away from her. She leaves him. They get a divorce. Yeah. Sue says it wasn't easy to leave Reed. It wasn't easy on anyone. Growing is usually painful. I like this point. You'll see Dr. Richards on the weekend, Franklin, and he goes, his name is Daddy. He's Daddy. But Reed starts to go through like a midlife crisis or something. I don't know. He gets all drunk. Ben shows up and he's like, what are you doing, Ben? Ben's like, I am moving in. Sue she lives at like a beach. I don't know where she lives at, honestly. She said it's only an hour away from New York, so I don't know. She says, it's what we came here to do, to grow, to feel alive in the short time we have to do it. She starts dating Namor. Oh, it's so bad. I hate that. But I don't care. But the important thing is, with Ben and Reed living together, Reed gets a call. Hello? Reed, I'm down here at the Arecibo. We picked something up on the telescope. Something big, it's coming. What's coming? Galactus. That's the end of issue 2. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, however you choose to watch this format. Comment, like, subscribe. I appreciate all of it. We'll go into issue 3. Yeah, this was Sue Storm's point of view. Next is Johnny Storm's. Peace out.